everyone. I'm Marta Ramirez, and I'm very happy to be here today with you. I want to share with you my experience during the pandemic. Actually, I've reflected a lot on these 17 years of experience where I never really consciously paid attention to the role of emotions in teaching. And when I say I never consciously paid attention to the role, I mean I never thought that it could be something that I could teach in my role as an English teacher. And then the pandemic hit, and all my students started to have an ocean of emotions, as did I, and as my colleagues did too. And this is where I realized that as educators, we need to really keep in mind students' emotions, our own emotions, learn how to self-regulate them. And so today I want to share with you three techniques and some action steps that you can take so that you can also keep in mind different ways to manage students' emotions in ways that are very possible in our classes.
Hi, Marta.
Hi, John.
Hey, hi, everyone out there, everybody who's watching us live. Welcome to this fourth masterclass. My name is John Pulido. I'm a teacher, educator, just like all of you, and I'm going to be the moderator for this fourth masterclass. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are. We're grateful that you're here with us. Let me tell you something you all should know. This masterclass is in strategy by the Ministry of Education. Marta, as a part of the international cooperation agreement between the British Council and the Ministry of Education. The masterclass is part of the Inspiring Teachers 2.0 professional development program and the Contacto Maestro program. We're very, very grateful for this cooperation, and we are all working very hard for this strategy. Well, we invite you to check the Contacto Maestro program at the contactomaestro.colombiaaprende.edu.co. And for us, no further ado, Marta, it's very important to highlight and publicly recognize, sort of saying, our teachers in Colombia. Everyone who is watching us, it's the core of this strategy. We're doing this for you. We're doing this because we know this have an impact on students' learning. So welcome, everybody. So all of you have been doing a terrific job. We all know that. And it's time to welcome some of our guest teachers in this afternoon. It's a pleasure for me. Part of this strategy is inviting teachers. So, Marta, we have two guests, and we have the pleasure, and I want to introduce from Barranquilla, Atlántico, Wilson Ospino. Wilson, hello, Wilson. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm really good today.
I'm glad.
Well, I hope to enjoy this session today.
Okay, Wilson, tell us something about you.
Yes, I'm working in Barranquilla, the Ciudadela Estudiantil. I have an AB in Modern Languages from Universidad del Atlántico. I teach in 6th and 11th grade right now. I have taught in all grades. I have 22 years teaching in from preschool to university students. So my experience is grateful, and thank you for this opportunity today to be with you and share all our experiences with you.
No,
Thanks.
for us, Wilson, is a pleasure to have you here. I mean, you're part of the teachers' voices out there, representing them here in this fourth masterclass. Wilson, with us today also, we have Jocelyn Pardo from Cali, Valle del Cauca. Jocelyn, hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, nice to see you.
Thank you. Happy to see you all.
Okay, so tell us something about you, Jocelyn.
Okay, I'm currently working and living here in Cali. I'm working in the Institución Educativa Ciudad Córdoba, but I'm from Valledupar, Cesar. I am a bachelor in Spanish and English, and I have around 11 years of experience between preschoolers and high school.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your introduction. So we're gonna have Jocelyn and Wilson in all this session, sharing experiences, interacting with Marta, and with us, and with everybody there out there. But now it's time also to listen and to introduce Marta. You heard Marta's pitch. She clearly stated what she was going to do today. And Marta, teacher at Universidad de los Andes, UPTC also, and WIS. She's been working as a teacher and a teacher trainer, teacher educator for more than 17 years. She holds master in education and she's specialized in growth mindset, flipped learning, and pronunciation. Well, also researcher, right, Marta? I personally know Marta. I know she's a great teacher. She's passionate for what she does. I follow you on Twitter. Uh, I'm always there, just checking what you're doing. So we feel more than honored to have you here, Marta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. For me, it's an honor to be able to share, all these reflections with so many teachers around Colombia. So I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, well, as I told you before, my name is John Pulido, also teacher educator, and I'm going to be moderating this fourth master class. So now everybody who is out there knows who we are and what we're going to be doing. So, Marta, are we ready for our next section?
Yes, we absolutely are ready for our next section, challenges and opportunities.
Great. Well, we're back, Marta. I have something to say before moving on this first part, and I think it's very important for everybody to know. Remember that you can only get the certificate by completing the registration form that you're going to be getting throughout the session. It's important that you click on the chat link or scan the QR code so you can access to that. Also, now that we're going to start this section with Marta and the further sections that we're going to have, don't forget that you can participate in the chat with the different hashtags Marta is going to be showing on her presentation. During this masterclass, that's going to be the way to have this conversation going. So Marta, no further ado, just please go ahead.
Okay, so to talk about challenges and opportunities, we're going to invite Wilson and Jocelyn to join us. And I want to ask you a couple of questions just to get to know your context and also understand what are these challenges and these, opportunities that arise from each of your contexts. So let's start with Jocelyn. So my first question, it's for both of you, but we'll start with Jocelyn, then we'll continue with Wilson. Jocelyn, can you please describe a little more your teaching context?
Of course. Okay, now I'm working with teenagers. I'm working with the high school, 6th, 8th, and 10th graders. In this moment, some of my students are attending to synchronous class. The others are working with printed activities because they don't have the possibility to work with or to have like a permanent connection with the teachers. So that is like the situation that I have with them in this moment.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. What about you, Wilson?
Well, I teach students from strata 1 and 2. We have not many resources at school. We create our own resources. but some of the, in spite of the connection problems my students have, and they feel frustrated, they recognize our work as teachers is very worthy. They really like our English classes there because we have the opportunity to teach them in a very creative way, and they always learn by having fun, and they feel really comfortable when we do that thing.
That's wonderful to hear, Wilson. So I want to ask you, and I'll start with you. How do you manage emotions in your classes? So you're telling us your students have fun. What goes on with their emotions, and how do you handle that?
Well, in my case, for example, they feel sometimes very shy, really frustrated when they can manage the internet connection, the tics, etc. But I always try to be happy in classes in order that they feel happy, and try to connect with them, and try to well, help them to be comfortable in class, so they don't feel shy in order to express what they feel. But sometimes it's really hard for us as teachers to know how they feel.
That is absolutely true, and we'll be connected to some of the techniques that I will be sharing. Thank you, Wilson. Jocelyn, how about you? How do you manage emotions in your classes?
All right. With this pandemic situation, I'm aware that they are going through many things emotionally, familiar things, everything. So I'm trying to create a pleasant environment during the classes. I try to be relaxed, to try to use a very soft tone of voice during the classes. Also, I try to use like making jokes to make them laugh, and they in order to make them to feel that they are in a very comfortable place, that they can share, that they can be happy. Yeah, and try to make that environment around them.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear as well. I see both of you are focusing on what attitudes you can take with students in order to have an effect on their emotions. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Another question I would like to ask you, since you've been talking about these emotions, is Jocelyn, we'll go with you. Which are the most common emotions that you have encountered in your classes?
Okay, I can mention three, the ones that I think that are the most common among my students. The first one is like stress. Some of them are feeling stressed with this all new thing. Everything is new for them, even though we have been during this situation during a year. But they are feeling stressed, and they are also needing like all the time that these words to help them to continue with this situation. Frustration. Some of them, that they don't know how to deal with these devices and platforms and everything, that we need to be in the synchronous class, or to download activities and everything, and they get frustrated too. And other of them are very shy. They don't like to participate during the classes because they don't like to use the camera, or to participate during the classes because they don't want to the others to see them. And that is very funny to see them like that, to be very shy when I know that they are some active students in the classroom.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I think you've described my students as well. All right, Wilson, what about you? What are the most common emotions in your
Well,
classes?
I agree with Jocelyn. I mean, most of my students are really shy. They don't want to turn their camera on, their microphone on. They don't want to speak. Oh my God, the pronunciation for them is really hard, right? But I try to encourage them in order that don't pay attention to mistakes. We're here to learn. So you have to speak if you want to learn. If you want to, if you want to know how to manage a bike, to ride a bike, just get on the bike and try it. And another of the feelings that they have is expectation. They always expect something new from the class. And I really like that part of the class because it's a positive thing. they always say, "Hey, teacher, and what do you have for us today?" So I always see these two, shyness and expectation.
Okay. Okay, I have one last question, and this is the one we're going to be, connecting to this whole masterclass, and it is, the question is, what do emotions have to do with me as an educator, right? That's the question that I've been asking myself, um, in this last year and a half, very, very, very frequently. And so I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. Wilson, what do you think emotions have to do with you as an educator?
Well, as an educator, for me, I think that the motivation, happiness, and being positive in classes is important for our students. Well, we have to be able to recognize our students' emotions and mood in specific moments and try to switch those negative emotions into positive. So this is really important because the students find out our class in our classes a good environment, and sometimes this is the only good thing they have because they come from their homes and from their problems and so on. So for me, motivation, happiness, and be positive is really good, really important.
Thank you, Wilson. Jocelyn, what about you?
All right, I can tell you that emotions in the classroom are everything. In my case, I think, and I try to practice this, that emotions are everything because I want my students to express themselves during the classroom, that they have, that they are feeling free to express what they are feeling, what they are thinking. I let them to, even that they can participate about the kind of activities that I'm bringing to them, because the most important thing for me is that they are feeling good, that they are feeling involved during the activities, and they can express themselves. So I try to create like a safe environment in my classroom in which they can express what they like, express what they don't like, and work based on that opinions that they are giving. So I think that emotions are very, very important.
Thank you, Jocelyn. You've said it. They are everything, and I think that's been an important reflection that a lot of us educators, if not all of us, have had. With this change from face-to-face classes to virtual to hybrid to back and forth. So thank you so much to both of you for your responses, and we'll continue the conversation. All right. So I just want to explain to the audience that there is an icon that you will find where I invite you to write in the chat. Okay. And we're going to be doing I'll be asking you some questions. I'll be challenging you to do a couple of things. And so just keep in mind when you see the icon and the hashtag to participate in the chat. So we're going to do our first chat activity. And John is going to help me to look in the chat, and basically, we'll talk a little bit about what it is that you are sharing.
Sure.
So what I want the audience to do is I want you to choose two students, okay? I know you have a lot of students. Just think of two students that come to your mind, and hopefully very different ones, right? Like that are in different extremes of your classes in terms of, personalities, etc. And I want you to write down the first emotion that they inspire you. So if I'm thinking of my student who's called Daniel, what is the first emotion that they inspire in me? And if I'm thinking of my student, Sophia, what is that emotion? And what I want you to do is in the chat, you're going to use the hashtag teacher emotions, okay? Hashtag teacher emotions, and you're going to write student's initials or a made up name, a nickname, or just their name. Nobody knows what their last name is. And after it, I want you to put, what is that emotion? Okay. So while people, while you write in the chat, maybe Wilson and Jocelyn, you can, if you have thought of any student, you can give us an example, maybe with one student that you've thought of and an emotion that you might connect to them. If you want to share with us. Could be Wilson. We could start with you.
I have one of my students. that is a autist, right? And I always think about him because he's always happy and he is not ashamed of doing anything in spite of his situation. And I always think about him as a happy student. For example, I had a karaoke in class and he wasn't ashamed in order to sing aloud and so on. So I always think about these students. This is the motivation in my class.
Beautiful. Thank you, Wilson. Okay, let's remember not to use any names just in case. You could just say the student in this case. Jocelyn, what about you? Did you think of a student maybe that inspires some type
Yeah.
of emotion?
And a student came to my mind, and it's a student that have a lot of self-confidence, and I love that. Like, I'm thinking this and I'm gonna tell you, I'm feeling this, I'm gonna share this. And I love that because you know what is happening with that student, and that lets you to create strategies and everything to get involved with the student. So I love that that characteristic that she has.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. John, do we have any responses in the chat?
Well, wow, we have a lot of people participating, honestly. But just give me a minute, and I'll get you that. This is moving so fast. We have some here. Just give me a second. Okay, Aurastela Guzman Beltran. She says shy and motivated. Stefania Monterrosa. She says hashtag teacher emotions. Proud, happy. She says the Valentina, happy. Isabella, proud. Andrea Galindo using our hashtag teacher emotions. She says optimistic and happiness. She says Jenny, proud and comprehensive. Andres Duarte writes happy motivation. So some of them. Thank you everybody for participating on our chat.
Okay, so what I noticed is there's a lot of, we're thinking of pleasant emotions, right? Like that make us feel pleasant, but I'm sure we have a couple of students that take us to another spectrum. And well, we'll be talking a little more about that spectrum of emotions to keep in mind. Okay, so I want to share with you a couple of things. So did you know that according to research, teachers will grade differently depending on how they feel? This is important for us to know because our emotions and being conscious of how we feel is very important and will have a direct effect on the actions we take with students. And for example, with grading, it will definitely make a difference. So if I'm down or if I'm furious or, I'm feeling very sad, etc., and I'm grading my students, for sure, the grade will be a little lower than it would have been if I'm not in a neutral state. So and it's the same for the opposite. I'm super happy. I'll give better grades to my students because I'm feeling happy. So in these cases, it is important for us to be conscious. How am I feeling? Is this the best moment for me to give a grade? Is this the best moment for me to give feedback? Is this the best moment for me to say something to a student if I'm feeling furious? Well, we need to reflect and keep this in mind, okay? Because it does have a huge effect. And the other thing is APA, the association, the American Psychology Association has done research, of course, on emotions. And they found that emotional intelligence helps students succeed academically. So if students learn how to be emotionally intelligent, they learn how to develop these skills to recognize their emotions, to label them, to use strategies, right, to regulate, then they will do better in the long term academically. Okay, so just keep these little facts in mind while I share when I share the techniques. Okay, another thing I do want to mention is I do research in growth mindset, and I just want to explain very briefly what this is. So according to Carol Dweck, we have two types of mindsets. We have a growth mindset and we have a fixed mindset. When I say we, is each of us has both of them. Our mindsets sometimes are more growth right? That we believe that intelligence can be changed, that we could develop skills, that we can grow. And sometimes our mindset is fixed, where we believe like, no, this is what it is, this is not going to change, etc. And so when we talk about intelligence, emotional intelligence has an important part in our mindsets. And so something I want to invite you, teachers, the audience, to think about is, what are those beliefs that you have about emotional intelligence? For example, do you believe that if you are a bad-tempered person, that that's who you are, or do you believe you can change it? And so this is going to determine a little bit if your fixed mindset is, popping up to say, no, this is the way I am. I am a bad-tempered person. Or if your growth mindset pops up and tells you, you know what, I'm a bad-tempered person, but I'm learning how to manage it, right? So let's keep this in mind, because depending on our own beliefs in emotion, in this case, we will take certain actions in the classroom. So what happens is that if I have a mindset that tells me that, emotions has nothing to do with me or with my students, and that I can't teach it, and that's the job of, specialized people, but I can't teach simple things about it, then I'm going to make the decision not to teach it. And well, I'll take the action of ignoring it, right? And I think that's been my reflection as an educator, and what I was mentioning at the beginning, right? Like, I hadn't consciously thought about this, and then I confronted my own mindset and said, you know what, I think I need to learn strategies to deal with emotions. All right. So 5 areas just to keep in mind where emotions matter the most, and this is based on Brackett's work. Emotions will affect students' attention, students' memory, and students' learning. How students feel affects, of course, how they're going to learn in our classes. So Wilson and Jocelyn were telling us, I try to make my students feel happy. I try to make them have pleasant feelings, because they know that their students, if they're feeling okay, if they're feeling fine, or if they're feeling at least in a good mood, right, they're going to be open to learning, right? It also has an effect on decision making, as I mentioned, in terms of me as a teacher, and also the decisions our students will take. Relationships, we know this. Personal relationships, emotions affect them directly. Our health, Jocelyn mentioned stress. If we get stressed, we get sick, right? So it has a direct effect on our health, and it also has a direct effect on creativity. Okay, so John, what do you think about everything we've been discussing?
Marta, I was checking can you hear me? Yes, I was checking the chat here, and there are a lot of comments on this exercise, but I want to just highlight on something. Stephanie Hurtado, she's participating with the hashtag Teacher and Emotions. She mentions frustration and happiness, and mostly what we've been talking about is like positive, quote unquote, positive emotions. However, I've been checking that there is a lot of this type of emotions, and I guess we stopped talking about positive and negative according to what we know when we've been discussing. But these emotions that make people not so comfortable about. So yes, that's basically it to keep in mind. It's also very important that bear in mind that this topic that we're dealing with and we're talking about, as you mentioned at the beginning, it just struck you so hard during the pandemic, and I guess everybody lived that same situation. So everybody out there, you teachers that are watching us live here, we strongly recommend, we just encourage you to put into practice, to take into account the recommendations and the discussions we're having here and the reflections. I guess students' emotions are key. Have always been, but now more than ever. Marta, everybody's participating, everybody's eager to continue doing it. So we're here just pending on the chat, and everybody's happy about it.
What is ECHO Teens? Well, ECHO stands for English for Colombia, and it is an educational radio program designed to promote English language learning while exploring different fields like technology, arts, tourism, and sports. The program is designed for teens and presented by teens, Rosita, Aleja, Ana, and Lucho, together with Julian, their English teacher. In the program, they share their life projects and help other young people see the benefits of speaking English. Access other ECHO Teen resources at echo.colombiaaprende.edu.co or just click on the link in the description box below.
Great. Marta, it's been very also insightful to listen to our guest teachers and to what you've shared with us. When it comes to this topic, I guess that an open mind and a sensitive heart is key. And I would like to take a minute just to say hello to some of our teachers who are watching us live. We have people just connected from different parts of Colombia. We have, for example, I got it here. They say hello from Escuela Normal Superior de María Río Negro in Antioquia. It's Martín Castañeda. We say hello to you. We also have teachers from Atlántico, Institución Educativa San Juan de Tocagua, teachers from Barranquilla, teachers from Bogota, teachers from all over the country. So we welcome you here, and we really appreciate your participation in this event. Please, now that I was checking the chat, remember that you can only get the certificate by completing the registration form. Now, this form is pinned on the top of the chat. Go there. My invitation is for you to go there and register. Find this link and register. Marta, I guess it's time for you, for us to share those 3 strategies that you've prepared for everyone today. Why don't we move on to our next section, teaching techniques?
Right. Yeah, it's time. Okay. So I'm going to share 3 specific techniques. And here I'm going to ask you, teachers, to please continue participating in the chat. Okay, so technique number 1 is to take students' emotional temperature. Now, you might be asking, yeah, how do I do that? So we're going to do a couple of activities with you, teachers in the audience, through the chat. So just make sure to put that hashtag and, to take your time to write your response. So one technique is to measure students' current mood in terms of their level of energy and their level of pleasantness. So we can tell students, for example, if you had to measure your level of energy from -5 to 5, how are you feeling, right? So if I'm feeling super energetic, I could say, I'm feeling 5. I'm at a 5, or oof, I'm a little low. I'm at a 1, or you know what? No, I'm -5. I can't even, where is my energy? So one is level of energy, and the other one is the level of pleasantness. So how pleasant do you feel in this moment? Again, from -5 to 5. So I'm going to ask the audience to please, in the chat, hashtag teacher emotions, write level of energy, the number, and level of pleasantness, the number. If it's a minus, if it's a whatever it is, it's fine. But it's just to, get a general idea of how it is that we're feeling. And so as you write your responses, I want to tell you that this is one way that we can start getting students familiarized with emotions, okay? Because emotions because emotions can be measured through pleasantness, and energy. And I'll go a little more in depth on how this looks when we talk about like the spectrum of emotions. But we can start with something very simple, right? We can even ask students, just like, is your, thumbs up? How is your level of energy? Is it up? Is it in the middle? Is it down? Yeah. So we could do something a lot simpler, but I'll be sharing a couple of ideas that you can use. All right, John. So let me know if we already have any responses in terms of level of energy and pleasantness. You could tell us a little bit, just the numbers. Maybe not necessarily names, but like we're seeing -1s, 5s, 2s, etc. I think that could give us an overall view of our current
Level.
mood.
Okay. Yes. Marta, I was checking here. We have 5s. Let me tell you, 5s and 4s. We have Olga Lucia Kitian, level of energy 4, level of pleasantness 5. Andrea Sanchez, energy 4. Okay, oh my God, everybody's participating right now. Isabel Gutierrez, level of energy 4. Everybody's between 4 and 5. That's great.
Lovely. Okay, so something important here also is when we're teaching, we're taking students' emotional temperature. We could also do it in an anonymous way, right? Because sometimes if I'm feeling -1, maybe I don't want people to know exactly if it's me at the time. And as a teacher, maybe I just want to know the overview of emotions. So there are different ways that this can be done. All right, let's move to the next strategy. Here, I want you to think in terms of color, okay? So again, we're seeing the level of energy, right? So a low level of energy is blue, high level of energy, red, right? A low level of energy, green, high level of energy, yellow. So on the top part, you see red and yellow is high energy, blue and green, low energy. However, red and blue is a low level of pleasantness, right? I'm not feeling too pleasant. It's not so nice feeling in the red or the blue spectrum. And it is nice to feel in the green or the yellow spectrum. So in the chat, again, #teacheremotions, choose a color. Where in the spectrum are you? According to your level of energy and according to your level of pleasantness. Are you in blue? Are you in green? Are you in red? Are you in yellow? You might be in the middle, but for now, let's just choose one color where more or less our mood fits. And John, you can tell me also how you're feeling according to this mood meter. What color would you say, where are you?
Well, before telling you where I am, this chat is about to explode, let me tell you.
Okay.
Everybody starts writing yellow. Ahora Estela Guzmán Beltrán, yellow. Carlos Amaya, hi, Carlos. Green, Carlos is green today. Kelly Campo, blue. And a lot of people are yellow, let me tell you. We have, oh my God, I can even read. Keep dog. Red. Okay, Edwin Bastidas, red and yellow. Okay, 2 colors. Zoila, this is blue. Oh my God. Cindy Riaño, red. We have a lot of colors here, blue, yellow. Yes.
Okay. And that's the reality, right? I mean, the reality is we are not going to have all our students in yellow or red or blue or green. They're going to vary. Okay. So this is just number 3 is a way that we can manage using colors if we want to use like a higher spectrum. Here, I'm not going to ask you to do anything in the chat. I just want you to see that there are, different levels. Each number is an emotion, right? And so now I'm going to actually show you these emotions, and I'm going to invite Wilson and Jocelyn to also, join us so that we can talk a little bit about how we might be feeling. And I'm going to actually put this full screen so that in the chat, #teacheremotions, I want you to take a moment and I want you to look at the mood meter. This is the mood meter created by the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence. And it's a strategy that is being used to teach emotions. So we can use this one, we could use colors, we can use numbers, right? Like this is showing you what you can start doing in your classes if you want to start teaching about emotions and taking students' emotional temperature. So in the spectrum, you'll see the reds, right? Red, orange, yellows, dark blue, lighter green, darker green, according to level of energy and pleasantness. So, John, are you ready to tell me how you're feeling?
I'm just checking. I'm checking the whole spectrum. I guess I'm feeling well. I'm gonna tell you. I'm feeling.
You can feel more than one, right?
Yes, I feel inspired today. I'm grateful. I'm between yellow and green, I guess.
Okay.
And really touched to a little bit about what we're doing today.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Jocelyn, what about you? How are you feeling today?
Okay, I'm kind of yellow. I'm enthusiastic today with this session, and kind of green with pleasantness, and I'm like chill, I think.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Chilling. You're chilling. Okay, no.
Chilling.
Feeling
Okay,
chill.
huh?
Yeah. Feeling chill. Okay. Wilson, what about you? How are you feeling?
Well, I think I'm cheerful, cool, cheerful, optimistic, but excited a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also very excited. I think this talking about emotions and using different strategies that allow us to regulate and really become conscious of, what we do in the classroom can go more than teaching English. Of course, here students are learning vocabulary for emotions, right? If we're using like this huge spectrum of emotion words. But, as teachers, we tend to do a lot of things. Jocelyn mentioned humor, right? You joke. So we tend to do things to kind of get students in that yellow, right? And like in that level of energy and pleasantness, so that the class can flow. All right, thank you very much, John. What about the chat? What are teachers telling us in the chat?
Okay, we have Olga Lucia Kitian. She says, "I'm feeling enthusiastic and grateful." Okay. Some other teachers are just mentioning the spectrum, the color, yellow and green. Yellow. Everybody's on the yellow side. Hashtag teacher emotions inspired. Andrea Galindo says inspired and blessed.
Okay, wonderful. So, something that has happened to me in my classes when I use this mood meter is that, and of course, because we've been in the pandemic, is that there tends to be a lot of blues. So, teachers, students might feel, in maybe yellow, or sometimes they're in green, but I have seen blues, so they might say that they are tired, yes, or fatigued, exhausted. They'll when I use the actual words, they'll tell me I'm exhausted. Some will say, I'm actually feeling depressed, and this allows me to make some decisions regarding what to do in class and how to shift that emotion as much as I can with the strategies that I use.
Definitely, the strategies that you mentioned, that you were going to mention too, are going to help teachers navigate through their emotions, manage their emotions, and maybe understand that sometimes it's a momentary thing, that with the strategies and different techniques, they can move on, and they can just trade that misery, or they can trade that despair into inspiration, optimism, playfulness, etc. So that's very important.
Exactly. And also we tend not to, as people, not even educators or students, like as people, we don't use all these words, right? There are 100
naming the emotions,
emotion
right?
words. Exactly.
Mhm.
So what we want
Naming.
is we want students to learn to name the emotions. We want to see how they're feeling, but we need to tell them, these are these like these are the options, not okay, what is okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, todo bien, what is todo bien? So we can, from our English classes, we can actually move forward their emotional intelligence with some. So I'm going to share a short video with you. And it's basically it's from the Yale Emotion Regulation team that they've made this video, which I love. It's a very short video, but it shows us as educators like what, how we can focus our classes when certain emotions appear. So let me go ahead and put that.
Okay.
It's a little, let's get that intro.
Each quadrant of the mood meter is associated with different kinds of thinking and learning activities. When students are in the yellow, they may experience emotions that promote creative thinking and the generation of new ideas. Brainstorming, energetic group activities, and creative problem solving are best done in the yellow. When students are in the red, they may experience emotions that heighten awareness and keep students on their toes. The red is good for competitive activities, like debating, or passionate expression, like promoting a cause. When students are in the blue, they may experience emotions that help them focus for deductive reasoning and critical thinking. In addition, the blue emotions prime students to relate well to others' misfortune, building empathy. The blue promotes success for tasks like proofreading, editing, and detailed analysis. When students are in the green, they may experience emotions that promote self-reflection and consensus building. Students feel comfortable, relaxed, and calm. Activities that involve collaboration are ideal for the green. The best teachers differentiate instruction using the mood meter and capitalize on all quadrants, knowing that all emotions matter.
The key here is that last sentence, that all emotions matter, and that as educators we can make decisions to change, for example, certain types of activities if we notice that our students are in one quadrant or another, right? So we saw how, if they're in the yellow, we might want to work more creative tasks or energetic tasks. But if you're teaching a class right after a march for the situation in Colombia, students might not be very enthusiastic about doing some energetic game. So we need to keep this in mind, right? So if they're in the yellow or if they're in the green, if they're super calm, if you feel like, oh, my students are calm, this is a good moment to reflect. Or my students are in red, this is a good moment to do a debate. Let's talk about what's going on, right? Or they're in the blue, let's get them focused. Maybe this is a good moment for them to do writing, editing, right, in our English classes. So definitely keeping in mind and knowing how students are feeling will give us, in our role as educators, better understanding of what's going on. Sometimes we plan a class and we think, this is going to be the best class ever because I've designed a super energetic, fun game. And my students were in the blue quadrant and they're like, no, no, teacher, we don't want to, So these are like just some ideas of how keeping this in mind will make us more alert and allow us to differentiate and make decisions in our classes with our students. All right. So I'm going to pass. I want to go to the next technique. So that was technique number 1. And technique number 2 is using your senses to set the emotional mood for activities. So we've been talking about number 1, taking students' emotional temperature, right? Knowing what is the current mood? How are we feeling? How am I feeling, right? How does this affect how I, as a teacher, also make decisions, etc.? And now we're going to think, okay, so if we already have an idea of how we're feeling, how can we add senses to change some of these moods that our students are feeling? So I'm going to focus particularly on listening, on sight, and on touch, and I'll share with you some ideas. The first one is a question for you in the chat, and I want you to reflect on music. So teachers out there, how often do you play music in your classes? If you put it from 0 being never to 5 being always, how often do you actually play music? Now, you can just put a number because it's a lot easier for us to notice those numbers, and so we can see. And I mentioned music because definitely when we talk about hearing, music has an important effect on emotions. So John, I want to invite you to join me and tell me a little bit what you're seeing in the chat. If we've already got responses.
The answer was Elena Peña. She just says always music, didn't write a number, but she said always music. Okay. We have Osvaldo Benavides. He gave us a number 4. Luz Estela Gomez, a 1. Lina Delgado, 3. We have Gloria Esperanza, 3. Lisa Hernandez, 4. We have a variety of numbers, but we have between 3 and 4s. 3 and 4s. Juanca Medina, 5. I love music and students as well. I would say that though back in those times, as part of my experience, back in those times when I was teaching, music was very important for me. So it was, I would give music a 4, I guess. Yes, you know what? William Fernay says, yeah, it's quite important to take into account how our students feel for having success in class. Also, for me, music is very important. Aura Estela, this is the last one. I always listen to music with my students.
Okay. So yeah, so music definitely makes a difference. And I asked the question because, of course, setting the mood with music is going to be a great strategy. And I actually want to mention something connected to research. So did you know that the University of Berkeley made a study where they discovered that music evokes 13 emotions? So I want to leave that there for you to think, oh my gosh, 13 emotions. And I'm actually going to share with you, what these emotions are. But before I share them with you, I want you to participate in the chat, thinking about songs that you tend to listen to, all right? And you're going to put hashtag music emotions and write the emotions that you think music evokes. Not 13 emotions. No, just the first ones that come to mind, okay? We don't need a list of 13 emotions. That's okay. But the ones that you definitely know, like, oh, when I'm listening to this song, I feel this and I feel that and I feel, okay? And so I'm going to invite Wilson and Jocelyn to join us just to talk a little bit about music. And I would like them to answer this question as well. So I'll give you a moment to think about it. What emotions, does music evoke? And, do you teach music in your classes? Let's start with you, Wilson.
Well, I always use music in my classes. For example, I use, dancing music, and my students like to dance, or I try to sing the song along, and they always enjoy when I play music in class. And they say all the time, "Hey teacher, when do you bring us a song?" And so I always do it because they like it a lot.
Okay, yeah, students will ask us for it, no? Okay, what about you, Jocelyn?
Of course, I love music during the classes. That is something that I enjoy and I love a lot. Mostly when they are doing like calm activities, I used to use music, instrumental music. Once it was a student that was asking me that no one is singing in that moment, and I think that in the moment, in that right moment, that student met what is instrumental music. But I love to use music during my classes, of course.
Lovely. All right, John, let us know what teachers are telling us in the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I actually want to show you what the results of that study are.
Marta and our guest teachers, Naxomi7, that's her name here, says, hashtag music emotions. I feel inspired in, according to my students, music makes them feel relaxing. Also, Sandra Quinchia says, hashtag music emotions. My students feel motivated, enthusiastic, comfortable when they listen to music. And I guess some of these comments that I'm reading here might be connected to what the results of the study you're gonna share with us. I'm just gonna finish. Olga Lucia, who's been participating a lot. Thank you, Olga Lucia, for your comments. She says, calm, relaxed, peaceful, excited, joyful, energized, all those feelings. Okay. Marta.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen. And what you're seeing in this screen, I'm not sure if we're seeing my screen yet. Maybe not.
Yes, I guess you're about to share.
Yeah, there we go.
It's sharing right now. Yes.
All right. So what we're looking at is, this is the result of the study, and look at all of these emotions. So some of you mentioned calm. So calm, relaxing. Well, they put it in different terms, right? But basically there's music that makes us feel calm, relaxed, serene. Others make us feel sad or depressed. Others like dreamy, like thinking about the future, dreaming. And triumphant or heroic. There's some that give you that emotion of like, the ones like songs we hear in movies. Anxious. There's music that tenses us. Scary, fearful, annoying, right? So I think you can see how the spectrum changes, right? Like how the quadrants change according to music. So I'm just gonna basically put my mouse over some of the songs, and you're gonna see which ones are like if I put my over an E, it's calm, over an a K, it's sad. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go around it just so you kind of get the feel of the emotions. Sad. Dreamy. That one's triumphant. Anxious. Scary. Annoying. Okay. That's indignant. Over here. Energizing. Amusing. Joyful. Erotic. And beautiful.
Very beautiful.
All right. So with that, it was just to give you an idea. And because as educators, we can consciously also choose, what type of music do I want to put? And the music that I choose to put is going to also affect my students' emotions. So let me share my screen again. I'm going to go back to the presentation. Here we go. All right.
I guess
Okay.
It's presenting, yes.
Right. So that was just to share with you, right? And so as teachers, we can also think, okay, what is the mood I want my students to be? If I want them to be calm, I need to choose songs that are calm. If I want them to be more energetic, I'll choose songs that, will make them want to dance and these type of things. And actually we can find in YouTube or in other like music apps, we can find music for, calm, music to study, etc. Like, fortunately, there are playlists that we can easily find and use. All right, so let's continue. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Wilson, for your responses. And there we go. So I'm going to continue with the techniques, just putting it a little more in focus. So as educators, I could use a song for mood and for pacing. So something that I've done that my students have told me that they like a lot is just starting the class with a song. So we can do this if it's virtual. You put the, you'll put the audio while students are connecting. If it's physical, you can put, if you have your player or even your cell phone, you can put some music while students come in and you greet them. And personally, like when I put music and I put energetic music, I feel I might be in the blue quadrant, right? I might feel a little down, but when I put that music and I'm starting class, I'm feeling more energetic. I feel it changes my mood. And students have also told me that they feel it changes their mood. And you can also use songs to set the pace of an activity. So let's say you have students in groups and you're going to ask them to discuss, a specific question. You tell them, okay, you're going to have 4 minutes. So I'm going to play a song. When the song is done, you start participating or you start, sharing your conclusions. So all of this will help, to set the mood, set the pace. And they're very easy. It's something easy to do, right? As long as we have access, of course, to putting in audio for our students. All right. The other one is, using songs for language teaching. And definitely if I choose to connect the song, a language form like the Simple Past to a song, students get really excited. Using music in general just sets a really good mood, as long as I'm not using scary music or annoying music. Students, they'll get, even if it's not their style, they'll get energetic about it if I'm using that type of music. You can always connect songs to specific content. So I want to give you an example. In one of my classes about growth mindset, we made a playlist about songs about growth, right? And so in my English class, if we're going to talk about a specific topic, I don't know, food or nature, I can start, a playlist about nature and then set the mood and then make connections, make debates, etc. So it's always a good idea to make a playlist. You can make it yourself or you can ask students to make it and they'll be more than happy to. I've had students who, teacher, I'm in charge, I'll make the playlist, and it works. All right, so those are the techniques in terms of sound. And I want to share with you the techniques in terms of sight. So it's always important to be able to see, right, what someone is talking about. I want to see it. I want to be able to personalize. And, showing is better than just telling. So one example, I ask my students to talk about a favorite thing that they have, and then I'll show them. So I'm going to actually show you. So I love earrings, and these are my favorite earrings. I couldn't wear them today because, you can't really see them under. But, showing is always better than just saying, oh, my favorite earrings are purple with green and yellow. No, if you can show them, if you can take them to the class physically, you can tell students, turn on your camera, show it, or in our WhatsApp group, take a picture, show it. Showing is always going to be better than telling, right? And my recommendation is having that content ready. If I'm conscious about showing, right, to doing the show and tell, when I'm going to go to class, I'll make sure I have everything, I'll have it in my bag if it's a face-to-face class, or I'll have it next to me like I do if I'm going to do a virtual class. Okay, another thing in terms of site is changing the class scenario. So if we're talking about face-to-face classes, you can take students outside of the classroom, taking them to the park, taking them to the grass, taking them to the parking lot. It doesn't matter. The scenario, if my school does not have, beautiful green spaces, it doesn't matter. Students love the change. Taking them to the hall and sticking on the walls paper for them to read. All these things change their mood and get them involved, right? Because what they're seeing is different to just sitting in the classroom or sitting in front of the computer. I'll give you a couple of examples, virtual as well. But teaching in open spaces, I've seen are not as often as we would like, right? And like taking students out. And we can also ask students in virtual classes, okay, you know what? Change your background image. So if you're connected on Zoom or if you're connected on Teams, you could tell them, okay, for next class, we're going to be learning about, we're going to be talking about, let's say, nature or flowers in English. And, so please bring a background of a flower. Or in WhatsApp, if you're using WhatsApp or their stories, there's a lot of possibilities there. But you could tell them to change their profile and put the picture or send the picture, right? And that makes us kind of feel that the scenario is changing, even if it's just a virtual one, right? So that to keep in mind. And if we count on the virtual apps, which is not the case of all teachers, and Wilson and Jocelyn, you were mentioning, right, that you had in some cases, students can't connect or maybe they have Wi-Fi at home, but they don't have in school, etc. These might not be the apps for you, but there are other ways that we can think about them. So I'm just going to share three examples of my classes that have been fully virtual, some hybrid, and just for you to keep in mind. If you find that these are useful for you, lovely. If not, we can also share I will be also sharing other ideas of what you can do. So this is an example of a hybrid class using stations, which was actually one of the techniques mentioned in one of the master classes. So you can do station work physically or virtually. And virtually is, find a picture of your classroom and you can link different stations. So students click to do the activities. You can do this using Genially, which is one of my favorite tools, or you can do this with PowerPoint. You can even do this with Word and putting a link inside the image. So there are different ways that we can do this for students to work with. If you don't have the technology, which is the case of Wilson and Jocelyn, they mentioned students are using worksheets. You can also even make a physical, print a type of classroom and then put the instructions for them to look at them and do the tasks. But the feel is going to be a little different than if you're just saying, number 1, do this, number 2, do this, number 3, do this, right? So there are different ways that this can be done. That's one example. Another one is creating paths in a virtual setting. This is basically a slides presentation, and students have to click, and it's going to take them to a perspective, and then they click, and it takes them to an issue. Then they have to choose one. Then so it's like if they were walking, right? Walking in the door, and then they go here, they find something, then they go here, but it's all virtual. Now, if we're in a face-to-face setting, we could actually, decorate a classroom to make this a reality. But fortunately, technology has allowed us to change scenarios when our students are just sitting in the classroom. And again, you can do this with a PowerPoint, hyperlinking to one slide or another. And when students do it, they get involved. You put them into that, that scenario. So this also changes the mood, makes them feel they're in a different place, doing something different. Okay. And the last one is there's a tool. This is a new tool. It's called High Fidelity. And basically, you're seeing this is an alternative to using Zoom or Teams or Hangouts. and students connect, and you see my students are here, like in these little circles that are here. My students are here. Yeah, I was zooming in so we could see them. This is me, and I'm walking, and they are talking, and they're moving from one place to another to make discussions. And the way that they're doing this is through this app. Now, in a physical setting, we could ask students to, move, physically tell them, okay, one group is going to go to the tree. You're going to talk about this, walk to the tree. The other ones are going to the parking lot, and you can actually ask them to do different things with the physical space. So there you see. Okay. All right. So those are just three apps that you can use. But again, there are alternatives that do not have to be necessarily with technology if we're with our students in the class. We can also use, if we're using WhatsApp, we can ask students to, to have a class just chatting through WhatsApp. I mean, we can change the scenario in slight ways that will make the class definitely feel more dynamic and different to them. Okay, another one is adding excitement through touch. And for this, we're gonna do a challenge, and I'm actually gonna invite Jocelyn and Wilson again to join me for this challenge. So while they join us again, to the audience, this is a challenge for you too. So I want you to, you're gonna have 30 seconds, and I will put those 30 seconds after I've explained. Imagine we're having a class about food. Today's English class is about food. And so what I want you to do is you're gonna have 30 seconds to run and find a piece of food in your house. This is if we're thinking of a virtual space, if I'm connected through Zoom, Teams, Hangouts, etc., or if I'm connected through WhatsApp with my students, I could tell them, okay, you have 30 seconds, go. They have to go, bring a piece, and then come back and show it. So Jocelyn and Wilson, are you ready to go and find your, okay, all right. So I'm gonna put the 30 seconds, and I'm gonna go find a piece of food as well. When the 30 seconds are over, each of us is gonna show what we have, and the audience is also expected to stand up, go find a piece of food, even if we can't see it, and you're gonna write it in the chat. All right, so ready, set, go. Okay, all right, I'm back. We're all back. Okay, so I'm gonna share what I have. So the piece of food, or the food that I got, is a green apple. All right, and Jocelyn, what about you? What have you got?
Raisins.
Raisins. Okay. And you, Wilson?
A delicious ice cream.
Okay.
Delicious ice cream.
You got ice cream in 30 seconds? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was in the fridge, okay?
All right. Lovely. Okay. So this is an example, and I'm going to ask John to join us as well. And I wonder if John did the did the challenge. So this is just an example of something we could do virtually, like go.
I already ate my challenge.
Ah, what was it?
I'm sorry, it was a muffin.
Okay. All right. John, so what do we have in the chat? Do we have teachers telling us what they got from their homes?
I guess we have teachers that are eating a lot of sugar here. We have Ana Mercedes Núñez chocolate, Doris Bravo cake, Patti Agudelo Sprite. What is Sprite? Oh yes, juice. A green apple. Somebody got a green apple. Pia Patricia. Aurastela, papaya. Now we have the fruit people here. Andrea Galindo, pear. Piece of cake. Enefina. Nuria Amador, cookies. Salty peanuts. Janet Cortez. Okay, you're one of mine. Sandra Quincha wrote putifarra. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I have a question, actually for the three of you, and it is, how did you feel, emotions, no? How did you feel doing this activity? Like, what emotion would you say it made you feel? Let's start with John.
Oh my God, I was checking the chat. I'm sorry, just interacting with people. Okay.
It's okay.
Come again.
How did you feel with this activity? Like having to go find food, coming back?
Sometimes when you're sitting down for a long time, you start getting like numb or just like sleepy or something. So just it reactivated me. I was like awake again. I feel energy again. So it was like that. Okay.
Okay.
Plus, grabbing a bite is not bad from time to time. So I loved it.
True. Okay. All right. Wilson, what about you? What emotion would you say made you feel?
I felt really expectative, but because I went to the fridge and to the refrigerator and I opened it and what can I take? Okay, and I found the ice cream and I bring it back. And as John said, it reactivates because I was just here sitting down and listening to you, but in this moment we come back to the I don't know, to the attention. Okay.
Okay. And what about you, Jocelyn?
I like it. And I know that the students like to do these kind of activities because they like to share what they have around them with the others, with classmates and teachers. And I like it too. And I want to eat my raisins too.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just to make the connection, so what this does is, and kind of I'm going to add a little more ideas, adding excitement through touch, adding excitement through challenges, like physical challenges where you tell students, okay, go find this, go do this, go look for this color, go, so we can do this, of course, in the classroom with the elements we have in a physical classroom, but we can also take advantage of, if I'm at home, my students are at home, we're all connected, what can I ask them to look for that for sure they would probably find, right? That they could show, like, go, run, come, look, we're learning the colors, go find something blue. Quickly, you have 10 seconds, go, So these things they bring a lot of excitement, and just using Realia wherever you can and wherever and whenever you can is wonderful. If I'm going to teach about an apple and I can actually take the apple, that brings excitement. It's very different to show a flashcard than to show a physical, apple. And even if I'm connected through WhatsApp, I could tell students like, hey, with my hand, the picture, like selfie, apple, this is an apple. And it'll bring a different type of excitement than if I just show them, the first apple image I found on Google, right? And these challenges are definitely, you can find so many ideas online, and just with clear instructions, like do this, find this, come back and show the picture, turn on your camera, or, physically come and bring it to me. All of these things are very exciting. And of course, help our students learn, set the mood, get them focused, get them their attention. Remember what we said about emotions with learning, with attention, etc. And creativity, of course. All right, technique number 3. So our last technique is exercising your mind and your body. Remember that emotions also affect health. And when we talk about health, it's physical and mental health. So I want to share with you a couple of just simple techniques that we can use to exercise the mind and the body. The first one is breathing. So here I want to invite you to breathe, and I'm going to invite all of the audience. I want you to take a moment, and I want you just to look at the image that is appearing on the screen, right? And it's like, so you breathe in and you breathe out. We're gonna do this for 1 minute, okay? And I'm gonna put the timer. As soon as the timer starts, we all start. Ready, set, go. Okay, that was 1 minute of breathing that we can do in our classes with our students. We can show them an image like this one. There are so many, unfortunately, nowadays that we can find to share with our students. We could send it like a GIF through any chatting tool that we're using with our students as well, if we're not synchronously connected. Or even just in the physical class, you could tell them, okay, everybody ready? And you can use your hands. So breathe in, breathe out, right? And you can do the activity. Breathing helps in so many ways. One of the ways that it helps is calming, right? So if I'm anxious, if I'm nervous, just doing 1 minute, 2 minutes, it doesn't have to be, let's breathe for 30 minutes. No, it could be something very simple. But if they're doing it, mindfully, like really concentrated, it helps. I started doing a lot of mindfulness activities with my students, just basically breathing. And I gave them the choice. I'm like, those of you who want to, by all means, please, you can do it with me. Those of you who don't want to, that's fine. So just take that minute for yourself, right? So then, and usually, students will join in and say, yes, I like to do this breathing exercise. And there's so many, options that we can use. So that's one way, right? Doing breathing exercises. And another one is using brain breaks. With very complex classes or very long classes, or just virtually sitting down for an hour and a half, like brain breaks is asking students to do something physically or mentally that gets them to move. So we're going to do an activity. We're going to do the brain break. I want the audience to do this with us, even though we're not seeing you. And I want to invite again our guests to join us, and John as well. We want to do the brain break. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this image a little bigger so that all of you can see it.
Great.
And I'm going to ask John. So I'm just using a video, right? Physically, I would roll the die, etc. But here, virtually, well, we have videos, our virtual dice. So John, I'm going to play it. You're going to tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is whatever number comes out, we're going to choose a color. Like each of you is going to choose a color. You can choose the color that you want. Maybe we choose the same one. Maybe we choose a different one. It doesn't really matter. What matters is we're doing a brain break. We're going to stop, just kind of literally take a break to do something different and then reconnect. So John, are you ready to tell me when to stop? Okay.
Born ready. Let's do this. Stop now.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a 4.
Okay.
And 4. So we've got different options here. Rub your entire left arm with your right hand. Touch your right hand to bottom of left foot and repeat 5 times. Twist
my
at the
God.
waist 10 times with arms out to the side. Spin in a circle 3 times to the left and make 10 large circles with your arms. Okay, so I want you to each take a moment and choose which one you want to do. We're gonna we'll say it and then we'll do it, okay? So I want to twist at the waist 10 times with arms out to the side. What
Oh my
about you,
God.
John?
I'm gonna spin in a circle 3 times to the left.
Okay. Jocelyn, what about you?
Let me tell you that I can see from here, but I'm
You
going to
cannot
do
repeat,
the
right?
same that John is doing.
Yeah? No, we can
You
do
can
the same.
repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, Jocelyn,
All
you
right.
and I will
All
spin.
right. Perfect.
Okay. And Wilson, what about you?
Well, I agree with John. This is good. Spin 3 to left.
That's the easiest
Good,
one.
cool.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm doing, let me remember again. Twist at the waist 10 times with arms out to the side. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Ready, set, go.
I'm gonna use my chair.
Now,
I have to stand up? All right. To the left or right? I forgot that part.
left. Okay, I got my 10. I got my 10 in. Woo, feeling energetic.
Oh my God. Me too.
Okay.
Done.
All right. Okay. So how did that make you feel?
I'm dizzy.
Like that.
Okay.
I
Well, in
should
my
have
case,
gone
I'm
on.
energetic. I feel
Nice.
like because I'm moving,
Yeah, we recharge energies.
and it's something very short. It's not
Yes.
It's not even 5 minutes. It's something it's seconds, right?
It's really
But
a
these
brain break.
breaks. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's brain break, and then we reconnect.
Awesome.
Okay. So these were but the two like techniques that I wanted to share with you. And so John, we're gonna move on to our next section.
Yes, definitely. Well, I really thank you for your participation. You've been very active. I like the mood in this section. Let me tell you. Yes, we've been moving from calm to energetic to reactivated. I like that. Well, before moving to the next section, for everybody, I want you to remember that this masterclass is brought to you by the Ministry of Education as part of the international cooperation agreement between the British Council and the Ministry of Education. Also, we're part of the Inspiring Teachers 2.0 professional development program and the Contacto Maestro program. Okay, so we really appreciate and we are thankful for having this international cooperation agreement that is making this possible. Marta, after all the techniques that you've shared with us, of course, I know that you have also brought 3 specific actions or action steps that will help us focus more. And I guess it's time to move on to our next section. So shall we?
Absolutely.
Action steps.
Okay. So so with these 3 techniques that we have, 3 techniques that have like different strategies within them, I want to share with you these specific action steps. So the first one is something you could start doing now is to teach emotion words using the mood meter. Okay, so you can, if you Google mood meter, you're going to find a lot of images. You can find the Yale Emotion, the Yale Emotion Regulation page where they have the information about the mood meter and like the steps that you can take as an educator to use them in your classes. But first, is start to teach these emotion words. There are 100 words. You're not going to teach the 100 words. No, you can start with very specific, some specific ones, or even depending on your students, you can start with some of the activities that we did. So you can start with level of energy, level of pleasantness from 1 to 5, asking students to point like where they think they are. And then you tell them, that emotion is this. Is that what you're feeling? Yes or no? Students for sure will ask, what is that? No, because our vocabulary does not include, we tend to use the same words. And, as educators, we also need to amplify our own vocabulary. So you can start with that. And just how? Well, you can have a poster. You could have a mood meter poster. You can make your own mood meter poster. You can print one. Let me show you. I have like mine printed. Are you seeing me here? Yeah. Okay. So I have this one, and I have, which is the mood meter with the words that you were seeing, right? There it is. And I also have this one in a smaller version, just very smaller, so that students can look at them if I'm using it in a physical setting. However, in a virtual setting, well, you can send them the mood meter and tell them, hey, keep it in mind, look at the mood meter. It's important for there to be visibility, right? For them to be able to actually see the words so that they learn how to use them. If you just tell, hi, how are you feeling? And we're not teaching them the words, well, that's, not going to be so helpful. And again, connected to English. So we're teaching them words in English. We're teaching them the vocabulary in English and connecting it to our practice. Something also that's very important here is the intentionality. Like if you are intentional in how you use the mood meter, meaning you're planning it, you're not just using it because it looks like a cool technique. You're being intentional. That knowing what mood your students are in will affect how they act in your class, etc. Well, that's going to support them. That's going to support you. Like if you know your own mood, you're like, I'm feeling kind of blue today. How do I move it? What can I do to get myself set up? To shift into maybe a more energetic type of mood, etc. And when we start using the mood meter, when we start using labeling emotions, using the words intentionally, this also helps support our colleagues, right? Like if we spread the word with them and we have a poster, etc., we share what we're doing, it's going to help all of us. So yeah, that's the action step that I want to share with you. Action step number 2, choose one strategy to activate student senses. Yes, just one, because I shared many, right? So here's a summary of what we saw. So do you want to use songs? Do you want to maybe, as a warm-up, use a song to set the mood every day at the beginning of the class? Do you want to end the class with a song? Do you want to use it between activities, or you want to teach with songs? Like, how can we get music out there? Because it definitely moves different types of emotions. Do you want to use more sight? Do you want to use more touch? But it's not about, I'm going to do all of this at the same time. No, choose one that you say, you know what, I could actually do this tomorrow in my class. Go for it, right? But start with one and then keep all of them in mind. And there are a lot more strategies with other senses, but here in terms of virtual and face-to-face classes, these are the ones that could be used or transferred from one to the other in different ways. Okay. And action step number 3, make a mindfulness routine. So be mindful, be present, be conscious of how your students are feeling and what you can do to help them depending on specific moments. For example, you can use a mindfulness activity as a warm-up. With everything that we've gone through in Colombia, there's been a lot of emotions going on, right? With the pandemic, with the situation we live, etc. And if you start with breathing exercises, just 1 minute, right? Something very simple. Students, they calm, they feel more focused. And it could be just a warm-up. Like, okay, today's class, we're going to start with a 1-minute breathing. And it's simple. You can find so many lovely videos online, and will definitely, it's something you can do. And even you could even send these, as I mentioned previously, right? You could send them to WhatsApp if your students have that possibility, or you can give instructions through a worksheet. It doesn't have to be, you can give the instruction. Like, I want you to breathe in and breathe out in your worksheet before you do this activity for 1 minute. Put a timer, and then students can do it without necessarily seeing the image, etc. Okay, brain breaks, of course. And important, students get super anxious, super nervous before exams, before presentations. And so something that I've done consciously and intentionally is, before a very serious moment of presentations, evaluations, etc., I'll tell my students, like, okay, we're going to do, this short activity just to get them, right? To get their nerves down, to get them calm, to get them focused. So that's really, really helpful. All right. Okay. So done. Any comments? Are we getting anything else in the chat? With this, I'm done with the action steps that I wanted to share with you. They might seem simple. They might seem. It really depends on what your context is. But I honestly believe that you can choose from any of these and start implementing them in your contexts.
I guess, well, not from the chat, but I'm taking notes all the time about what's happening here. There are a lot of things that us teachers can take from this conversation and from this masterclass. I guess you have shared with us different techniques, including taking into account the colors, the senses, activating the mind and the body, and how those specific action steps can lead us to put that into practice. I guess also what teachers have been saying or sharing with us to the chat is also enriching the conversation. Very, very insightful. Is a very important thing that is happening right now. What I love is that we're building community. We're teachers.
That's right.
We share a lot of things in common. We have similar pains and similar expectations. We all want our students to learn, but more than wanting our students to learn, we want our students to be better people, to be better humans. And we have a bigger responsibility, is help them navigate through their lives and their situations, and emotions is one of them. I mean, I always say, not because it's my quote, but I've heard that we're not rational beings. We are emotional beings that sometimes think and sometimes use cognitive skills to navigate through life. But we're emotions. We're emotions. That's why it is so valuable and important to having this conversation in this moment. Well, apart from this reflection that I'm bringing to you, I want to invite everybody out there. We have some information for you. Please, we'll be back with you in seconds with our last section, is the recap.
What is ECHO Teens? Well, ECHO stands for English for Colombia, and it is an educational radio program designed to promote English language learning while exploring different fields like technology, arts, tourism, and sports. The program is designed for teens and presented by teens, Rosita, Aleja, Ana, and Lucho, together with Julian, their English teacher. In the program, they share their life projects and help other young people see the benefits of speaking English.
Okay, so a very quick recap of what we've seen and what we've shared in this masterclass. 3 techniques. Technique number 1, take students' emotional temperature. And the action step is to teach emotion words using the mood meter. The second one is use your senses. Action step, choose one strategy, or start with one and then, move through the other ones as you see fit. Third, technique, exercise your mind and body. And the action step is to make a mindfulness routine. So intentionally make decisions of, I'm going to do breathing exercises, or I'm going to use brain breaks in long classes or in classes where I know students are going to be maybe stressed, or it's been too long, to get them energetic again and reconnected. So those are our 3 techniques and 3 action steps.
Okay, that's pretty practical. I would say that. I was thinking, I was checking the chat, Marta. Many people are participating, but I know that some of our teachers have just got in later of that. They have joined us not on time as we started, and so I want to remind them that they can get the certificate by completing the registration form. Don't forget, teachers out there, go there, the chat, take a second, go and take a look at the top of the chat. The registration form is pinned on the top of the chat. Go there, it says Colombia Aprende. You just click there. You have the link on the registration form. Go, click there, register, please. Okay. Time for questions, Marta. This is a very important section, this debate that we're going to introduce. So I would like production to just show us the information. Just hit us with this debate section. Amazing. Techniques, action steps, the life of our teachers, our guest teachers' experience presented here, exposed here, your conversations, your reflections, the teachers' participation on the chat has enriched this masterclass a lot. Now, I know that Jocelyn and Wilson have some questions for you, Marta, and also our teachers who are watching us live. But I would like to start with Jocelyn first. Okay, let's just start this debate.
All right, thank you. Again, I would like to say that I'm so honored to be here with you, sharing these experiences and listen to you, Marta. Has been a very useful topic to talk. And also, I would like to point it out about the emotions and the teachers that are participating in the chat, that is how much emotions are important, that the teachers, we are asking to the teachers, you are asking to the teachers about their emotions, and they are sharing a lot, their feelings and everything. So if that is important to us as an adult and teachers, how much for the students that they are learning to deal with these things that they are feeling inside. My question basically, after I see all what you showed us, is about how do teachers, us as teachers, we can apply or encourage these activities when we are working, as in my case, I'm working with teenagers, and they don't like to express, or they don't like to get involved with these kind of activities that imply to share or express their feelings or emotion with the peers or classmates. How we can deal with that?
Okay, that's a really good question, and I have encountered I've encountered that students don't want to, they don't want to get emotional. They don't want to talk about emotions. Like, why, if you're teaching me English, you're putting this out there. So I think the first thing is we need to set the mood, right? And the mood is set with how we treat our students. You Jocelyn and Wilson, you were giving examples of things you do to set the mood, right? To get students to feel happy, excited, or maybe to feel calm with what's going on. So the first thing is acknowledging, that we need to set an emotional mood for our students. The second one I would say that I've tried with my own students is I give them choice. I don't make them talk about their emotions. I tell them, okay, we're going to do this activity. So those of you who want to, it's okay. And those of you who don't, it's okay. Like, you don't have to tell me how you feel. It's fine. And what I see is that little by little, as students open up, as some students open up, the others start to open up too. It's like, okay, if she's saying she feels this way, I think I could say that I feel that way too. And it has to do with, being vulnerable and being open to show that vulnerability. And that starts with the teacher. So if you as a teacher want to talk about emotions, but you don't talk about your own emotions, so you could say, like, you know what, everyone, I'm feeling a little down today because something happened, but we're here, we're going to go. How are you feeling? And it's acknowledging that we are, as John said it, we are emotional beings. We are human beings. We are not robots. And sometimes students just, you talk about something emotional and they're like, oh, teacher, you have a feel, you feel? So they get surprised. So I think it's that. And also, you can also do these types of techniques anonymously. Like, if you're working virtually, there are so many tools where you can tell them, put the number, put the color, etc., without putting your name. And you could do this through Google, like through Google Docs, or through an Excel form on Google. Well, there's so many possibilities. But you can also do it just asking students to change their name. If you're doing it physically, just like, mark it, but don't put your name. So anonymity is also important for students to feel that they can, express, but not necessarily saying, I feel this way. So I think those would be my initial recommendations based on my own experience, but definitely setting the mood, creating a safe, place for students to talk about how they feel, to make mistakes, and all these things is so important. Thank you for that question, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Before we move on to the next question, I was asked a question, not referring to this, but somebody's asking, hey, there is a QR code there on the screen. What is it for? Let me tell everybody, it's also another way of getting or accessing the registration form. So please, everybody, you can do it on the top of the chat. It's pinned there, or through this QR code. Okay, let's continue.
Well, my question. First of all, I wanna ask you, or wanna thank you for all these techniques you have taught us today. I know they're gonna be useful, and we could use it and change it and rethink it in order to use it in class. But my question goes to my students. What do you think is the best way to manage emotions and mood with students in an inclusive class? In order that I have because I have students that have special conditions in my class. Okay.
Okay. And Wilson, you mentioned at the beginning, that you had an autistic student, right? So that's kind of,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think as we were able to see different ways that the mood meter can be used, we can also make decisions based on those specific needs. So if I have an autistic student, of course, I am not an expert, but what I know and what I've read is that when we're gonna teach emotions, we need to take it slow, right? So you're not gonna teach them the 100 word. No, it's like one emotion at a time. So it has to be something very paused. There has to be visual cues. Of course, autism has different spectrums, no? But let's say, okay. So visual cues, something that I've seen that teachers use with the example of autistic students is they'll show them a flashcard like with the face to show them the emotion. So what is the emotion of happy? What is the emotion of sad? You know, like, okay, it might not be the best example at this point, but so you can use flashcards, you can use visual stories. Yes, like it, why? Because some students cannot read easily these emotions, right? And I think that's your concern, Wilson. Like, what if my students can't easily understand emotions because of their special needs or their special conditions? How do I deal with it? It has to be like one step at a time. You can also ask students, if you use the mood meter, you can ask them to point. Like, they don't necessarily have to say. They can point at a color, indicate a color. You can use Play-Doh, so they can show with play, like touch. So we put touch in. What other examples do I have? Yeah, so touch. It really depends. I think each of us, when we teach, we notice where our students have those difficulties, right? They're not understanding this so easily, so I have to kind of break it down for them. So I think that would be the way to go. Of course, when we talk about inclusion, there are so many. There's so many things that we're talking about. Also pacing. Just some students might go really fast and others slower. So you can remember the example of the stations. So you can physically create stations where some students go to this one and they take their time, and the others can move from one to the other faster. There's many ideas, but definitely it cannot be the same. I mean, we cannot teach in the same way because they have special needs. So we need to make those decisions, knowing our students and knowing what they will or won't understand. You know, how can I shift this to make it easier for them or to make it more understandable? But the key thing is to teach them. Yes, every person should learn. If we make that decision, if we make that decision in our classes to teach about emotions and to deal with them, even autistic students need to learn. They might not be able to non-verbally see and understand the emotion, but they need to learn how to label it. They need to learn how to recognize it. So that's where the flashcards come in and the examples, etc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, very good. We're about to close this masterclass, but I don't want to leave, and I don't want you to leave without listening to a couple of questions from our audience. Okay, we have the first question, this is Jose Franquil Valenzuela Lozada, and he says, everybody comments regards motivation as the main key to get students' attention. But the students easily lose it. How could we extend it?
Okay.
This motivation thing.
Okay. I think, the first thing the first thing I do with my own students is when I see they lose motivation is that I ask them directly. I ask for feedback all the time. And when I see someone is down, or I see, that there's a student that isn't participating, I reach out.
Okay.
And I ask them directly. So, what's going on? So I think the only way that we can know why students have lost motivation is by asking them. We could guess, but having, spaces or like moments in class to talk about it, like what could improve, what do you like, how would you like to learn, etc. All these things, it boosts motivation. What I do know based on research is that the teacher is the #1 motivational tool for students, more than the activities, more than the classroom, more than the physical or the virtual space. What really motivates students is you as an educator. So if you are passionate, if you are enthusiastic, if you're showing that mood that you want to get in them, and you're like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to do it first. Let's see. Students will like, hey, the teacher's doing, I'm going to do it too. Or you give them choice. if you don't feel okay with doing this, that's okay too, because you have a right to feel what you're feeling. And it might be, teacher, today I don't want to participate. I just feel really sad. That's fine, right? Giving choice is important. And I think that would set, that will set the pace of how classes move and how motivation, can shift from maybe a blue, like getting demotivated, into blue to yellow. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, great.
Ask them. Yeah.
Good. We have the same type of questions asked by different teachers. Luz
Okay.
Estela Gomez, Sandra Quinche Cortez, and also Joan Daniel Orozco Suarez. They're talking about strategies for rural schools. What can we do when we work through WhatsApp? And the only way to connect with students is via WhatsApp. Can you share any strategies on how can we apply some of the ones you've explained along the masterclass?
Sure. So if we have WhatsApp, wonderful, because we have a tool to be connected with the students, right? That which is a little different to if students have a worksheet and they're working from home and we don't have any type of connection. So if you're working through WhatsApp, you can create WhatsApp groups. Where, for example, if I want to make a group work, I can create specific groups for them and be in them and monitor what they're doing. I can send them mood meter, picture of the mood meter through WhatsApp. So I'm sending you the picture of the mood meter through WhatsApp. Please use the marking tool, and I want you to circle the color, the word, the quadrant, right? WhatsApp allows students to directly interact with the images, so they can circle it, or what we were doing here with the chat. So you send them the picture through WhatsApp and tell them, okay, how are you feeling today? How level of energy, send your number, and they'll put 1, 2, 5, in terms of emotions. In terms of senses, I give a couple of examples. So you can send the challenge through WhatsApp.
Okay.
And you could tell students, go into your room and find, 3 blue things, 1 red thing, and 2 yellow things, because we're practicing colors, and take a picture. Send it in the WhatsApp group. So then they're moving, they're going, they're putting the picture. In terms of breathing, you could send, WhatsApp also lets you send the GIFs or the GIFs. People pronounce them both ways, with the breathing exercise. So you could tell them, hi, students, WhatsApp, we're chatting. Today we're going to start with this, or a voice note. You could send videos through WhatsApp. There are so many things that, fortunately, WhatsApp allows us to do. We just have to kind of shift the scenario of not having them, in cameras or physically. But there are definitely, you can do a lot of things to WhatsApp. Yeah.
Marta, thank you very much for your answers. And first of all, I want to thank you, Wilson, Jocelyn, as teachers, as the voice of teachers around Colombia. You're representing them. And we really, really, really appreciate that you have been spending this time with us. For us, it's an honor to have you here. Really, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marta, of course, our specialist, our expert on this emotions theme. I guess I really invite teachers, keep on working on this. This is very important. It's key in a student's education and developing of abilities, lifelong skills. Emotions are there, key, important. Okay, thank you to all the Ministry of Education, the British Council in this initiative. These master classes are brought to you by them, by this cooperation. We want to thank all the production team behind this production. Thank you very much to all of you. Okay, we want to invite you. I would like production to help me out with this. Okay, we invite you to join to our next masterclass number 5, how to provide feedback in hybrid learning environments. Don't miss out. Please come back. We're growing. These master classes are reaching out to a lot of people. Invite other teachers, please. Don't keep it for yourself. Tell them to join. next Tuesday, same time. Next Wednesday, same time, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody, for joining us.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. August 4th, 3 to 5 p.m., how to provide feedback in hybrid learning environments. We'll have Nicolas Correa. He's going to be the expert. It's applied linguistics to foreign language teaching. I'll be with you again, moderating this masterclass number 5. Please join us. We'll be waiting for you. Thank you very much.